Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go first. I have a very unbalanced rack. Now, I could play Vor, getting rid of the two non-bingo-y tiles, but that's keeping 4 consonants. The alternative would be to play Drawn, keeping VT. Now, is there a third choice here? Well, I think I'll go with the shorter play for 18. Great, I draw the blank. I have no vowels to go with it. So I'll have to see if my opponent provides a vowel. If I can play off 2 or 3 consonants, it's probably going to be better to do that than to change. Certainly if the A of Vor remains available, I could play Carp, keeping DNT, or Drap or Prad. But my opponent is likely to take that A out. Vor takes an S after it and nothing in front. Right, my opponent does take out the A, but the O is available. I can play Crowd. Getting rid of 3 consonants, 13 points. Great. This looks a balanced rack. I should have a bingo here. Either through the C. Well, I have Patience through the C. And I have Nepitas in row J, pluralising crowd. So I would hope that one of those remains available. Patience ends 1 square short of a double word square, so it would be good to have an alternative bingo through that C. Let me run through the alphabet while my opponent is thinking about his move. So I'm imagining a C on my rack. I haven't seen anything yet. That's the Patience play. Well, that looks promising. But is there a bingo there? Well, my opponent has taken out the Patience spot, so I still have Nepitas in row J. Now, is a bingo through one of these R's going to be better? The play would get doubled, but the points value on my rack is only 8. And I can get 11 out of crowd, so I think Nepitas is going to be a better play. I'm just wondering if Nepitas has an anagram. Well, it does, Penates. But that doesn't place the P in a better spot. $71. Not good. 2 U's. I do have Guru through either R of Chur, and I also have Guru Dumb, which would play off 6 of my tiles. And that can play through either R, and both placements would get doubled. So what to do if those R's are blocked? Well, I could play Daumer in row K, parallel to Nepitas. That would be keeping one of the U's, but it's going to be difficult to play off both of them and score well, unless Guru Dumb remains available. I have a 57-point lead. Great. Gurudom does remain available. Annoy, for future reference, takes a T in front, so row H at the beginning is quite hot. Nothing new provided by my opponent. Now this is going to be the better placement, because I'm going to be covering up the double letter square with my O. 24 points. Well, that's not too bad. I have got the Q, but I've got the A and T to make cat. And I've also got canat on my rack. And I would have trank through an R. Now, I've got cat and tannoy at H1. And that would leave a good rack leave of AENP. 4 T's still out there, so that could be taken. And indeed, my opponent may have played annoy whilst retaining a T. So where else can I play cat? Well, I note that I can play through the first U of Gurudom. I could play quat or quant. Probably better, covering the double letter square. Cat remains available. And canat does not play in this spot. So cat 45. I have panzers, and that plays in columns 11 and 13 beside the O and M of Gurudom, and it also plays in row N making hop. And it plays in column 4 making cats. That's going to be the best placement of all. So pretty good pick-up after cat. And a pretty good turnaround after the Gurudom rack. If Gurudom had been blocked, it may have taken several turns to sort the rack out. As it was, I was able to sort it out immediately. 52 tiles in the bag. 16 minutes on my clock, so I'm in good shape time-wise. Now, I think Chur takes an S and either an A or an E. And I'm not sure which it is. Great, my opponent challenges and loses 5 points. Is there anywhere else for panzers that I haven't seen? And is there an 8 with those tiles? Well, not many floaters to consider. Certainly playing panzers in column 14 isn't relevant for this turn because column 4 is the best spot, and if that's blocked, then I think columns 11 or 13 would be better than the column 14 placement. All of these placements would get doubled. 16 points for my opponent. And the best spot for panzers remains available. Panzers 102. Not a good pickup. And that's a shame because there's quite a few hot spots on this board. Certainly the Z next to a premium square is hot. And so is this triple letter square next to the I. My F can go there, but I'd really want a 5-letter word to get about 50 points, and I don't think I have that with this rack. But I could play Finn. Slightly dangerous given that there are 2 S's and a blank out there, but I have an S myself, so I can take out column 15 straight away if my opponent doesn't, and I have got a pretty large lead at this point. But is there something better than Finn? The rack leave after Finn of BLNS is not great. And do I have anything through the Z? Well, there is Zin, but that's keeping 5 consonants. What do I have through the A of Panzers? Well, I could play Flan. Poor score, but I would be retaining the vowel. I note, however, that there are 6 I's unplayed, so I could get into I problems if I retain my I. In fact, there seems to be quite a lot of vowels out there. Still 9 E's to come. 24 vowels. Wow, 24 vowels out of 41 tiles. Or maybe that's just 41 in the bag, so there could be 48 tiles unplayed. Now, where are the other vowels on this board for me to consider? I don't have anything through OB in row H. Boyle takes an S. So I'm just wondering if it's worth playing something like Fibs in row L. Probably not, because the rack leave is so poor. And it would only score in the mid-20s. My opponent has changed 4 tiles. So no new openings to consider. And that's a real shame that I've got a poor rack, because that Z is just sitting there. Well, maybe I should play Zin to deny my opponent the spot. I am retaining scoring tiles in the F and the B. I do have the A of Panzers available for Fab or Flab. And if I draw a vowel, then I'll score well. Probably in column 14. So I don't like keeping 5 consonants, but I think this move has merit. Pretty poor, drawing a W and a U. But it's good to see the U, since my rack is so dry in terms of vowels. I've got the full prefix, so I've got awful. Can't see anywhere for that. I don't think awfuls is good, otherwise that could play in column 8, down onto the triple word square. So I've got flab, or I've got flawn, F-L-A-W-N, that would split up the U-W combo, so I have that in row C. And I've got flubs and boils in row L. 27 points. And that would sort the rack out, at the expense of the S, but it would sort the rack out. My opponent provides a floating Y, that doesn't really help me. Still 1 U out there. Flawn 22. Quite a nice rack. Through an S. Well, is it through an S? I'm thinking about Soubise. Is it spelled S-O-U-B-I-S-E? If it is, that plays in row L and row N. I'm tempted to play that. I'm so far ahead, 180 points, that I can survive a phony coming off the board. And it certainly is a good word with some spelling. But is there an alternative bingo which I'm more sure of? Well, not too many floaters to consider. So I think I'll just get this down and see what happens. Subies, 77. And this could well come off. My opponent's challenged several of my moves, so if this is a phony, I'm expecting a challenge. But if it stays on, I've got the X. And at the moment, that plays well underneath the O of Subies. I've also got fixture as a 6-letter play on my rack. Great. Subies stays on. My opponent provides some nice floaters. And he's obstructed my fix spot because, although the X can still get doubled twice, I was really looking to get rid of one of my I's as well. So, what to do? I can't see anywhere for fixture. Well, I could play Mixia in row N. I'm just wondering if that's good. I think it is, but Mixie could be a noun. It could be short for myxomatosis. So there's a possibility that Mixia would come off, and it's retaining U and F, which isn't good, and it's placing an E above this double letter square. But that's not too bad, because look at the remaining tiles. There is only one scoring tile, and by a scoring tile I mean one of 3 or more points, and that's the K. Whereas I have the F, so if I play Mixia, then my F can go here if my opponent doesn't take it. So that's worth thinking about. I could play Remix. Now, am I missing something? I'm looking in column 14 to see if I can place my F here. I'm not necessarily looking to play the X. But I can't see anything. I've got 12 minutes left. I think I will play Mixia. £31 points. So, if this stays on, do I have a play beginning F-E? Yes, I do, and it's a good one. I have Feud, which will score well and sort the rack out nicely, burning the U and one of the Ds. Great, and only 14 points for my opponent. So this has worked out well. 12 tiles left in the bag. Feud, 47. Quite a nice rack to have at this stage of the game. I'm 300 points in the lead. There are 8 tiles in the bag. And I have a balanced rack with no duplicates and 2 scoring tiles. My opponent has got, well, probably a bingo. The remaining tiles are extremely bingo-y, and there is a floating E. And less useful, the Y. So the E is the hot tile for my opponent. So I should be probably looking to block that, and I can do that quite easily. I could play Changed through that. It won't score massively, but it'll take out that bingo danger. Seven minutes on my opponent's clock, 12 on mine. Okay, great. Only 9 points for my opponent. Egalite takes nothing in front of it. 2 tiles in the bag. The remaining tiles still bingo-y, but quite Val heavy, and this board is really tight. There is really just the floating G of Gurudom and Y of Obey. I don't need to worry about those too much. Now my K can go above this I of Egalite, but I can't get it to score twice. So since I'm so far ahead, I'm really looking to keep on scoring. I don't need to worry about shutting the board down or denying my opponent. Now I'm looking in column 14 to see if I can score well, and I can play need. That takes out the floating Y, which wasn't particularly dangerous. Scores 36 points, which is a great score. And I'm keeping CAG. Well, I'll be drawing 2 other tiles, so I won't necessarily be able to go out in one, but this is quite a good play. 36 points is a nice score. I can see what my opponent has got. I can't instantly see if he's got anything through the G. It's possible. Now, do I have an out with this rack? I'm looking at the floating G myself. Can't see anything there. Through an L, I would have glassy. Now, I do have an S, which can go on the end of Subis. My C can go on the end of Zin. So, I could play Sick, Flawns, and Zinc. Or Sack in that spot. That would score quite nicely. I know there are 2 lawn words, Blawn and Flawn, one of which takes an S and one doesn't. I think Blawn is more likely to be the one that doesn't take the S, although I'm not 100% sure of Flawns. I think it's good. And that's quite often as good as it gets. 15 points for my opponent. I think I'll play this fairly quickly. I doubt that he wants to hang around while I find the optimal endgame. So 34 points, sack or sick. I've got GA, I can play GAN here, and I can play GAG, so I think this is good enough. My opponent may be going out now, and possibly not. But I need to assume that he's not going out. Okay, he has blocked GAG. So I can play... What can I play? I've got 10 minutes. Ag is good as a 2-letter word. Well, I can play Gab, which is better than Gag would have been. Gab 12. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game, which he does. And the final score. 203 for my opponent, 558 for me. A winning margin of 355 points. So a massive, massive win. Let's see what I missed. Right, no phonies played in that game, otherwise there would be an alerting message in this right-hand column. It was me to go fast, and I was torn between drawn and vor, and I still think they are difficult to distinguish. Each has its merits. My opponent's rack, he plays Joe, and I played crowd, and that looks fine. My opponent's rack, he plays Chur, and now I played Nepitars, but not in column 14. So it's Chur with an E, which is good. I could have got 81 points there. Instead, I got 75. Nope, I didn't get 75. What did I get? 71 for playing it down here. So 10 extra points available if I was sure of the Chur hook, but Nepitars in column 14 would have opened up column 15, so the difference in those plays is less than 10. My opponent's rack, pretty awful. He played Annoy. I had Guru Dum. That looks best. And my opponent's rack, pretty awful. He played Ho, and then I had Cat for 45, which was a really nice play. Great score, gets rid of the Q, good rack leave. My opponent's rack, he plays Boyle, and I had Panzers for 102, and that also played in column 14 for 1 point. Fewer. 4 eyes for my opponent. That's when he changed. I didn't have a great rack. Ah, well, I could have played Fib down here, but look at the rack leave, LNNS, pretty awful. Instead, I played Zin, keeping 5 consonants, but avoiding the duplicate N, which I think is fine. Now, my opponent's rack, he played Obey, and this is where I played Flawn for 22, and I think BSU is a much better rack leave than BNSUW. The UW combination is awful, so even though Elf was 10 more points, I prefer Flawn. My opponent's rack, he played Vile, and now I had Subis, which played in a variety of spots. Where did I play it? I played it for 77. I could have got 4 more points by playing it in row N, but that would have opened up row O, so I prefer the placement which I made. My opponent played Sum, and now I played Mixia for 31. Wow, and there was a 5-letter play beginning with F. There was Fieri, and that would have retained the X for future score, so that would have been pretty good. And B14 Fixer playable down here, again utilising the chur hook, which I was uncertain of. But in any event, Mixia had merit because of retaining the F to go underneath the E, which did in fact pay off. But I prefer Fieri, and I would have played Fieri if I'd seen it. My opponent's rack, he played Raft, and that left me able to play Feud, which looks best. My opponent's rack, he had Egalite, but nowhere to play it as a bingo, so he played it for 9 points. This was my rack, and I played Need for 36 or 37. Yeah, Need for 36, keeping CAG. B14. Oh well, Caked down here again using the chur hook would probably have been slightly better. Yeah, it would have been better because it would have taken out this floating G. Now, my opponent's rack, did he have a bingo? No, he didn't. He played Cat. Oh wow, I could have gone out. In column 6 through N and N, I had Canings for 16. Now, that's not necessarily best. Just because I can go out doesn't mean it's best, because I was able to get 18 more points by playing Sick and Sack, and then if my opponent can't go out, I get to play again. But it's still nice to spot outs, and I didn't spot that one. So, Sick for 34. Does my opponent have an out? He does, if he'd spotted Towie, Tennant, or Tenner. Now, he played Toa, and I played Gab for 12. Ah, I could have played Ag, Gi, and Al for 16, so 4 points thrown away at the end. But not to worry. It was a massively high-scoring game. Lots of great bingos. It was really nice to get Panzers down for over 100, and I was pleased to spot Subis as well, quite an obscure word. And it was also good to play Gurudom, which sorted out in one go a rack which looked like it might take 2 or more goes to resolve. So plenty to think about in that game and enjoy. So I hope you did enjoy watching it and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.